Hey guys, BJ from Christie's RV here. Today we're going to go through the 2021 Jayco Jay Flight 287BHS. So up front, you have your large pass-through storage. It's accessible from both sides of the trailer and also accessible from underneath the bed. So when you lift up the master bed, you can get inside the storage area if there's anything you need. I'll show you that when we get inside. You also have your two handles stored here. One handle is for the stabilizer jacks. You have one of these in every corner. So what you want to do is level the trailer the best you can, and then you crank these down to the ground to stabilize the trailer. So that handle's in here. And you also have this handle. What this handle's for is for the tongue jack. So if something happens, it's not working, not going up and down, there's a manual crank right here. You just lift this little rubber boot out and put that handle in, and you can manually crank it up and down. Also up front, you have your 12-volt battery and your dual 30-pound propane tanks. And those are connected to a crossover valve. So what this does is you're able to open both tanks. It'll pull from the tank that the little indicator arrow is pointing to. When it's empty, it'll automatically switch over to the other tank. There's a little glass here that shows you that the one that's pointing to, if it turns red, that means it's empty. Then you're able to switch it over to the other tank, and you can now remove this tank and get it filled. So on your power jack, you also have your up and down button, and then you have a light on the front. So if you're hooking up at nighttime, and that's the other side of that pass-through storage. So around the opposite of the door side at the back, you have another storage area here. And that's also accessible from underneath the rear bunk. You have your drainage right here. So you have you have your gray valve, and then you have your black valve. And the hose that you connect to this is stored inside the rear bumper right here. So what you want to do is you want to connect the hose, and then you can open up either valve. The gray is for your shower and sinks, and the black is for your toilet. There's also, I'll show you on the back of the trailer, there's also a tank flush. So what you do there is you hook up a garden hose to that, and once you have these valves opened up, you can turn the hose on, and that'll help flush everything out of the tank for you. And that connection is right here. So that's the one right here. This is the hot water tank. So you have a hot exhaust, of course, through there. You don't want to put nothing in front of it. Make sure nothing's leaning up against the trailer here. You have your drain plug right here. Before you pull the drain plug, you want to make sure you release the pressure. You can use either this release valve here, or you can open up one of the taps inside, as long as there's no pressure, so that when you undo this, it doesn't blow out at you, possibly burn you with hot water. You have your 30 amp plug. This is about 35 feet long. And that's your AC connection for the trailer. You also have cable and satellite up here. It's your input. Around back, you have your city water connection. So if you have somewhere where you have a water hookup with a hose or anything like that, that's where you're going to hook that up. You also have a outdoor shower, so you have a hot and cold water here with a handheld little thing, so you can shower up outside or wash your feet. On the same as the door side, back corner, there's a low point drain. So under here you have two drains. These are to drain the actual water lines, so that'll empty out any of the water that's inside the lines. So when you go to winterize it, that out. You also have another stabilizer jack. Like I said, there's one in every corner. You have a door here. This door is access to the bathroom from the outside, so you don't have to walk through the whole trailer just to use the washroom. large black vent is the back of the fridge. So this here, again, you don't want to block that or put anything up against it because it does need proper airflow to work. Same thing with your furnace exhaust. That gets very hot, so you don't want nothing in front of that. You have an output for satellite or cable, and you have a TV mount here. So if you want to bring one of the TVs from inside outside, you can hang it here. You have your cable hookup, and you also have your GFI protected AC power. There's a fill spot here. This is for the potable water, so your holding tank for fresh water in the trailer. So if you're going somewhere where there isn't running water, this is where you're going to fill your tank so you can have water with you. And that low point drain for that is right here. So when you're not using it, empty that and you can empty the water out of it. This one does have power awning, and you have an LED light strip underneath. I'll show you the button for that when we get inside. Another thing to note is this is the vent for the stove. So when you have the fan on, there is a little flap in here. You can either leave it open, or when you're traveling you can close it so it's not flapping. Just make sure you open it up when you're somewhere, so if you are using the hood fan, it vents outside nice for you. Then you have your main entrance. And this does have these nice steps. So those store away just like that. There's a blue button here to release it, pull towards you. They are fairly light. And on each foot, there's a pin right here, so you can adjust the height of the foot. Because what you want to do is you want to get the stairs down as far as you can and make sure that this part here is level with the sill of the door. Because what happens is when this door closes, what you don't want is you don't want the door to hit this and bend the door. So you want to make sure that's level on the ground, and that'll help the door to close properly and not cause any damage. Okay, so on the inside, as soon as you walk in on your left, you have all your controls here. So you have your slide out button, your awning, you have lights here. So one's for the outside, one is for the inside lighting. So again, that outside one is for your LED strip right here. You have your power on in and out, just like that. You have your slide in and out right here. So I have it partially out. Push that out, and you're going to hear a clicking sound when it gets to its full extent. Just like that. So that means it's all the way out. Same thing when you come in, it'll make the same sound when you get to the end. You want to make sure the slide's all the way out or all the way in when you're traveling, because it needs to be like that for the seal to be perfect. Otherwise you'll have water leakage and spots for bugs and stuff like that. So you want to make sure it's all the way out when you're camping and all the way in when you're traveling. So here you also have your monitoring panel. You have your battery, and your fresh water, and your black and your gray. And then you have here's a button for the water pump. So if that potable water tank, you have it filled up, you don't have city water hookup, you have your pump button here. So you just turn that on, the pump will turn on, and that'll create pressure for your water. You also have your two water tank buttons here. One is for running it off propane, just like that. And you also have one, so if you are plugged into 110 AC somewhere, you have electric water heater as well. So back here, if you remove this panel, there's a screw in the bottom. That's where you get access to the water pump when it's time to winterize. Below the stove, you have your converter. So you have all your AC breakers, all your DC fuses. If something's not working, come check here. You have an oven, and your stovetop. To light the stove, just simply turn it to the light, little button, and you have an igniter to light that. Same with the oven. The oven does have a light here. There's one for accent lighting, and of course the one inside. So inside and the back here, you can just barely see it, but back here there's where the pilot light will light. So what you're going to do is you're going to turn the oven to the pilot light right here. Hold that in, and then you're going to turn the sparker right here until that lights. Once it lights, keep holding this in for about 30 seconds, and then you can release it, and then you can adjust the temperature to whatever you'd like. Your range light and fan. Like I said, that vent outside, you want to open that up so that vent's out to the outside. And you have your microwave just like you do at home. And we have your fridge and freezer. So here, auto, what that does is it starts to search for electricity. If you're not plugged into the 110 AC power, it'll automatically switch over to gas, and that's what it's doing now, and it'll light on gas. If you know you're not plugging the trailer in anywhere and you have to run it off gas, you can just put it right to gas itself. And then you have your temperature setting there. Plenty of storage. The inside access to the washroom is this way. So you do have sink, toilet, and your nice large shower. Flush the toilet, there's a pedal right here on the front. You just push down on it, and that flushes the toilet. You have a button here for your light, and there's a manual crank here to open the vent, and you have a button here for your fan. There is a GFI plug right here. So this GFI plug protects any circuits that are outside or near the kitchen sink or in the bathroom here. So if this is tripped, those won't work. So you want to double check. If you don't have power at those plugs, come check this, make sure it's not tripped. If it is, just reset. If it goes again, you want to check what you have plugged in and make sure it's not tripping up. Your bunks in the back here. Like I said, you have access to that storage area underneath that comes in from the outside. And there's also, near the back, not sure if you can see that, panel right there. And you can lift that panel up, and that gives you access to the hot water tank. So that's where your valves are for the hot water tank if you need to shut it off to have it winterized. Just lift that up and you can get access to that. You have an emergency exit in this bunk. Just lift the red tab, pull it towards you, and push all the way out, and that glass will open, fully open, so you can crawl out if you need to, in case of emergency. Top bunk, there's a USB charging spot there for your iPad or phone or whatever you have. Large wraparound dinette. This also folds into a bed. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the legs off, take the table off, and you're going to sit the table down in this little track right here, which goes all the way around the table, and then you just adjust the cushions to make that fit. That gives you a nice large bed. Couch also turns into a bed. This is like a futon. You just lift up, and it folds out into a bed like that. Same thing to fold it back in. You just lift up and push it in. And there is storage under here for blankets and pillows and what have you. You have your TV. Under here you have your radio. So this is a radio, DVD player, all that stuff. It has Bluetooth. It does have outdoor and indoor speakers. So number 1 is your indoor. Number 2 is your outdoor speakers. It does have charging spot, HDMI, so plug in Xbox or whatever you need, auxiliary, stuff like that. And TV. You do have a satellite hookup here, a 12-volt source. And then you have your master bedroom. Another emergency exit window, operates the same as the other one. You do have a mount here for a TV and all your connections up top there. There's lights all over, a little button, you just push that. You have a butt switch here, so that's going to be for the Jayco blue accent lighting. You have plugs on each side as well. And underneath the bed, like I was saying, you have access to that storage outside. So if you do have something in here you need access to, you can have lots of ways to get into it. This bedroom has the little sliding door here. There's a storage clip here. Make sure you put that on, because if not, this door will swing back and forth. It'll damage the door and possibly wreck the hinges as well. So beside the entertainment system, you have your thermostat here. You have mode, your fan, auto, high, and low. You want to leave that. You can, if you want the fan on just to recirculate the air and have fresh air in here and stuff like that, you can turn the fan to high or low. If you're running the air conditioner or the furnace, you want to leave it on auto so that the fan will shut off. If not, what's going to happen is the air conditioner will be on, it'll shut off, but the fan will continuously run, so it'll sound like it's always on. So you want to make sure you shut that off. Same thing if you have the furnace on, the fan's going to be running, you don't need it running. You have your air conditioning, it's a little cool, and you have the heater, and then you have off. And you can also, if you hold both of these down arrows, you can switch back and forth between Celsius and Fahrenheit. And then back to off, you'll see right there. And that's off. Up on the ceiling, you have your speakers and you have your smoke alarm. So there's a test button here, just like at home. Make sure you're testing that every once in a while. There's also a CO detector down here on the end of the kitchen counter. So you want to test that as well. Every once in a while, make sure that's working. Get your fire extinguisher. And that's pretty much everything. The other thing too with this air conditioner is there is a slide here. So if you want all the air to be in this main room, you can open this up. If you close it, what it's going to do is it's going to force the air through the vents here. So those will be, so reach farther. And then same thing, it goes into the bedroom. So if you're in this main room, you just want air in here, you can open that up. If not, close it and it creates more pressure and pushes it farther the other way. And that's pretty much everything. So that's the 2021 BH287. And I hope you enjoy the new trailer. Congrats.